Does my shirt offend any of you? How about the apparel of these lovely ladies? Like me, you're probably not too offended by what they're wearing, either of our pieces of clothing, but some groups of people are, and those typically are the elderly or American veterans. We tend to not see as much sanctity in the American flag as they do, and by sanctity I mean the belief that something is sacred or special. So we see this disparity between ages, and it might not be the ages that cause the disparity, but it is the era in which the people have lived. So let's take a look at some examples in the 20th century and the view on the flag in that era. Specifically, George H.W. Bush. He supported a bill that outlawed flag desecration. Desecration is making something dishonored, destroying it, etc. And the bill was very successful in Congress. It passed the House with a 374 yes vote to 41 no vote score, so to speak. And another anecdote that's worth mentioning about the 20th century would be a battle in Vietnam in which a flag was falling during a firefight because of an explosion, and a soldier rushed over to the flag and tucked it in his shirt to keep it from hitting the ground, but he was killed in the process. So what did these two examples tell us? These two examples tell us that during the 20th century, people saw the flag as something sacred. They saw it with much more sanctity than we see today. So we have to ask ourselves, what causes this disparity that we see between the 20th century and the 21st century view of the flag? Because obviously today it's not so sacred to wear the flag as a bikini. As it turns out, the difference is due in large part to 9/11 and the public's reaction following the terrorist attacks. In particular, George W. Bush caused a lot of this paradigm shift. And what he did was, in a speech following 9/11, he told Americans to unfurl flags in addition to lighting candles and praying for the victims. And in a special report by NBC, the American flag was posted in the background of the special report in addition to the foreground. And so Americans had this inundation of flag exposure, and they were encouraged to have the flag exposed, not so much as a special thing, but as something to be patriotic, and it was very, very commonly supported to have a flag, and you were almost expected to have one. So Americans latched onto this, and Walmart reported that they sold 25 times the amount of flags that they normally sell on the day after 9/11. This is a whopping number. In addition, there was a store near Flint, Michigan that completely sold out of flags, and there was a near month-long waiting list that people were waiting on in order to get a flag. So what this shows us is that people bought flags, and they had flags present across doorsteps, across hanging in over front lawns, things like that. And there was this enormous presence of flags, so it wasn't that special anymore. So people had this opportunity to say this isn't such a sacred item anymore. And one of the forms that we see this is the apparel of Kid Rock in this 9/11 support concert, in addition to Toby Keith in a concert similar to that of Kid Rock. And the reason that this is so important is that it shows that the flag desecration, which is dishonoring the flag a little bit, is okay. And the reason that this is so important is that it was broadcast to the public, it was televised. So people could see this happening, and it wasn't such a bad behavior to have the flag in one of these manners. So people saw flag desecration as an acceptable behavior. And this is how the snowball started to form. So people started to say, well, if they can do this, then maybe we can take this a little bit further. And this continued throughout the 21st century to the point that people started to wear bikinis like you saw, and people even saw it acceptable to wear American flag print shirts to give a presentation and not be ostentatious or rude.